You know, those moments where you're just scrolling social media late at night, you've put your kids to bed following a long day, and then you hear something that literally makes you stop your scroll, rewind, and say, wait, I need this and I need to learn more. That was me the first time I came across Kelly Hubbell, the founder of Sage Haus. She wasn't just talking about hiring help, she was completely reframing the way we talk about and think about support in motherhood. Not just occasional sitters, but a house manager, a second set of hands, a system for running your entire household so you can breathe again. And that moment cracked open a whole new way of thinking. And today she is joining us on the podcast. She's flipping the script on the whole do it all myth that many of us moms are riddled with. And let me ask you this: what if you didn't have to be the default for everything in your home? What if there was actually a way to reclaim your time, your energy, and your peace without burning it all down? Kelly Hubbell is breaking all of these down on today's episode. She's a mom of three, founder of Sage Haus, which is a platform on a mission to help parents, especially moms, outsource the mental load and build the support system that they truly deserve. Whether you're on a tight budget or ready to bring on a full team for your household, Kelly has built systems and strategies that work in real life, and it's not just a board on Pinterest. In this conversation, we're diving into why delegating isn't a luxury, it's a leadership move, how to start building your own village even if you don't know where to begin, and what it takes to go from survival mode to a home and a life that runs with ease. If you've ever thought that there has to be a better way, this episode is your permission slip and your roadmap. So grab your coffee and your earbuds and maybe even invite your partner to watch this episode, because this conversation might just change the way you outsource forever. Kelly, thank you so much for being with us today. I think I shared with you this scroll stopping moment that I had on Instagram where I was on the couch, tired after a long day. I just put the kids to bed and I saw your reel about helping moms and families outsource and helping them not only outsource, but to hire a house manager. And so I'm so thrilled to have you on the episode today and so look forward to everything that you're going to share with us today. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, well, I am delighted that you found me and that we are going to have this conversation today. So thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. I imagine there's so many other moms in my position who are maybe they've outsourced a little bit, not at all, or a lot, but there's a way. You have identified a brilliant way to help families and support them in deeper levels that expand beyond childcare. It expands beyond a house cleaner. It kind of takes this holistic purview of leading your family and managing a household. But I will assume, like so many of us, there was a point in your life where your business did not exist. And there's probably a moment in time where that catalyst happened. How did Sage House become what it is and where you are today?
Well, yeah, so happy to tell you a little bit more about my journey, but I think you actually just touched on something that I just want to like double click on, which is what I am doing is helping modern families find modern solutions, because where I'm sitting, even if we have two highly executive functioning partners in a household, those of us who are lucky to have a partner, an engaged partner, there just still aren't enough hours in the day to get things done. And so that's kind of like just where I'm coming from. And yeah, happy to talk about my experience. And really, Sage House, my business, was born out of my own experience as a very overwhelmed, burnt out mom of three. My kids are now 6, 4, and 2, born within that 4-year time frame. And I was able to really hold it together after my first. I was working full time at the time in a technology sales role. And then we had our second, and that's when the wheels started falling off the bus and things started slipping through the cracks. And I just thought to myself, why do I feel this way, even though I have full time childcare? Like my kids are at daycare. I'm working my full time job, but like, why do I still constantly feel like I can't even breathe? And what I realized very quickly is that I am not the only one who feels this way. And B, there are solutions to this problem. And a light bulb moment happened for me. Happy to talk through that. But really, I am a very solutions oriented person. And I realized like something has to change here, because I am not living the mom life and the family life and the career journey that I really wanted to live. And so that was sort of the beginning of my experience. Fast forward to that solution, what we ended up doing was finding a wonderful person to help our family and become a part of our village. So a house manager who started working with our family 10 to 12 hours a week. So we started really, really small on a part-time basis. And she was helping with all of the things. I just call a house manager a second pair of hands, someone who can help you with whatever needs to be done that day, laundry, meal prep, tidying up, running errands, grocery shopping, all of that stuff. And it was so life-changing for me and for my family that I started telling other moms in my network about. I like had to shout it from the mountaintops, Lyndsey. I was like,
We're not gatekeeping here.
yeah, I was like, this is my life has changed. Like people were even like, you seem different. There's something changed about you. I'm like, yes, I found a support system. And literally, like I felt like I could breathe for the first time in years. I was then from that moment on, like, I got to tell other people. I got to tell other moms, like how to get out of this rut that they're in. And so I started talking to friends about it, friends of friends, moms in my network started calling me. Hey, so-and-so told me to call you. They said you kind of figured it out. How did you do that? Where did you find this house manager? What do they do for you? How do you pay them? Like how do you structure this? How do you create systems in your home to delegate the mental and physical load? And that was the beginning of Sage House. And I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, instead of, I was always scared. I always thought, oh no, maybe some people will, what are people going to think of me? Are they going to think I'm lazy? Are they going to think that I'm privileged? Are they going to think like that, what are people going to think about me? Instead, I was really met with women who were like, this sounds like a solution I need to get a part of.
I want that.
Yeah, I want that. And so I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, this needs to be out in the world because no one is talking about a new category of support in our homes outside of the typical swim lanes. Childcare, nannies, housekeepers, cleaners, running errands, like a task rabbit, right? I'm like, hello. And so basically that was the start of Sage House. And now it's grown over the last really 2 years, almost 2 years. And now I'm helping moms and dads, but mostly moms, all over the US and Canada to find their modern Mary Poppins and create better home systems so that they can delegate that mental and physical load of running their household.
And I love it so much because your inability to breathe, that like I can't breathe moment was the pit in my stomach. It was the pit where I was just like, how can I figure this out? Why am I overwhelmed? And there's a whole host of reasons why that may be true, but I resonate so much with that, like the immense pressure, the desire to figure out the solution because there's a challenge, there's a problem, we want to find the way forward, and being focused on doing that, not just for yourself, but for the good of your family. And so I'm so excited to hear that your business has grown, that one, it exists, but two, it's grown over the past several years. But can you talk a little bit about the solutions you're providing families, what ways you work with them, and what people are coming to you most for?
Sure. Yes. So, and that sort of journey follows the evolution of my business. I mentioned that for over a decade, I was in technology sales for a long time. And I started Sage House as a quote side hustle when I was in this corporate role, right? And what I initially came to market with was what I had just described to you, which was, gosh, a lot of moms feel like they need this. What I did was I made a digital course called How to Hire a House Manager, basically. And I put it out in the world and with a bunch of resources, right? Like, here's the job description you can use. Here's interview questions to ask. Here's things to ask when you call references. Here's how to run your background check. Like, here's everything you need to do. And some people were like, this is awesome. This is exactly what I needed. I need this playbook. But then what I was hearing from the majority was, hey, this sounds amazing, but actually I don't even have the time and energy. Like, I need this yesterday and I don't have the energy to find my modern Mary Poppins. Will you just do it for me?
Yeah.
And that was the pivot in my business where I thought, you know what? I have a method. I'm teaching my method. Why don't I put my method into practice? That what worked for me multiple times in finding, we're now have our second house manager. I have found meal prep chefs and cleaners and have done this for friends too, right? So I'm like, I can do this. So I started taking on a couple clients every month to really like run the recruiting process to find them the right fit. And that's when really like business started, like I was gaining traction because what I realized is like, not only do people want this solution, but they also want help finding it because it's so nuanced. Like there's actually a lot that goes into finding the right fit for your family. Like it's a full-time job to find the right person. And you don't want to miss the right person. You want to scoop them up. You want to find them. You want to grab them when they're out in the market, and you want to like bring them in and have them be a part of your family. So
Likely a deeply personal exercise, I would assume.
yes, yes. And it's vulnerable. It's a vulnerable exercise too, because like you're putting yourself out there. Like, you're going out to platforms like care.coms and nanny lanes and Craigslist, like job boards, Facebook groups. And you're like, hi, I need help. And it's like a lot of us feel deeply uncomfortable about asking for help. And we can get into that whole thing. Right. But I take that off of the plate for a family who's looking for more support. And that is like providing so much value. And one more thing is that it's not just about finding the person, right? It's also about making sure that they are successfully onboarded into your home and integrated into your life and your what I call home systems so that there's a seamless experience for you, for them. They're good at their job. You want them to be good at their job. At the end of the day, like they have an incredible job and they love working with your family. And like there's a great feedback system and there's lists and systems that exist so that you no longer have to ever think about restocking your pantry ever again.
And this is what happens is in business, when you find a problem that people need solved, your business just grows and expands into all of the areas and kind of categories that you just articulated.
Yes. Yes. And it's just because I listened to my prospective customers, right? Or like other people in, my audience, my ideal customer profile. I basically listened to them and this is what they told me. And I was like, okay, I can do that for you. I can solve that problem for you. Let's go.
I love it so, so much. And I think some of the nuances, and we talked a little bit about like being really specific with the needs and the solutions and things like that. I had a curious thought as we were talking a second ago is that, there are these roles, there are the lanes. And so a house manager, can you talk about what a house manager might do and if that's different from like a family assistant?
Yes. House manager, synonymous with, some people call it a family assistant. It's sort of geographically, I think I have sort of taken that term house manager because that's what I called it. Because again, I didn't know what to call it when I went out to find this because I had never heard of anybody else who had this. But most of the responsibilities for me, like I said, I had childcare, but what I needed help with was managing my household. So I called it a house manager. A lot of people call this same role a family assistant. So let's just blanket, same thing. Let's talk about it as the same thing. What they can do for your family is basically be another pair of hands to help with anything that needs to get done. There's nothing that they wouldn't do that you wouldn't do. So like, a lot of my clients joke and say, it's my wife. Like, because this is the person helping and doing all of the things that you could do. Calling the plumber if there's a toilet backed up, running loads of laundry, picking up your kid at the bus stop because your call is running long, running errands, taking Amazon packages back to Whole Foods. Like all of those things is something a household manager, there's basically nothing a household manager wouldn't do that you wouldn't do. And I think we got to do away with these swim lanes. Nannies are just for childcare. Housekeepers are just for deep cleaning your home. Okay, cool. But like a household manager can help you like tidy up your house every day, fix your couch cushions because I do that 18 times a day, right? All of these things, like, why are we like siloing these roles? Why can't we just like have holistic help? That's the word that you use, Lyndsey, which I like, holistic help.
Yeah. Well, and there's the sourcing part of this. There's the, the need and the problem, but are you finding that this talent, if you will, this workforce is readily available or that you're having to train people? What is the prevalence of having people who are familiar with this work and their ability to step in and do that?
I love this question so much because most people say to me, first of all, they say to me, I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't even know this was an option available to me. What? Mind blown. The second thing they say is, are you sure you can find someone part-time to work for my family? And I mean, the short answer is yes. The long answer is hell yes, because there are so many people who want to work with families and want part-time roles. And they've maybe been in a nanny type role, but they actually have so many more abilities and skills that they want to use. They want to be in more of like this personal executive assistant role. They want to be dynamic. And so yes, there are people out there who want these jobs. But what I'm finding is they also don't know where to find them. So this is like a good segue into this year. I am actively working on launching a how to become a house manager training program and certification program for people who want this, want to be a part. Honestly, I always tell people, I'm like, how come this wasn't around when I was in college? Because
Yep.
I was bartending. Instead, I could have been like, taking my classes in the morning and helping a family in the afternoon. And like, how fun would that have been? What amazing connection would that have been for me as a college student? So, yes. So the answer is they're out there. They also don't know where to find you. They don't
Yeah.
know where to find a family that's like looking for them. So I'm really trying to be the connection piece for both sides of that coin.
You are the connector. You are the bridge. You are the gap filler
There
in
you go.
this. I love it. And I know it, like, just hearing you talk about it, I know how deeply passionate you are about this. And again, as people, as a mom, as a business owner, we wear a lot of hats, all the things. But this is something that I think so many of us crave and probably have no idea even exists. But there's a sense of practicality here, or maybe a fear of it not being practical. Can you talk about how accessible this is and
Yeah.
how maybe budgets may differ and how you can how people in your client's shoes navigate that?
Yes, absolutely. And I think, this actually really opens up the door to the topic of privilege. I think it opens up the door to the topic of, people thinking this rich white lady on this podcast told me that I should throw money at my problem, right? Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. First of all, your budget decisions in your own household are deeply personal to you. Okay. Deeply personal. And the way that people prioritize the way they spend their money is different. I will also say that there have been multiple, quote, happiness studies around buying material things versus spending your money on getting more help and services in your home to reclaim your time, because you really cannot put a dollar value on your time. And really, when you think about like budgeting for this, investing in this, what I like to say is this is an investment in you and your family based on the season of life that you're in, is thinking through what is the opportunity cost of not investing in this for your family? Because those are real costs on your own ability to build your business and your career, opportunity cost of your own mental health, your own physical health, your relationship with your partner, your relationship with your kids. And so it's thinking about like finding a village to support your family out from a lens of abundance. How can I take things off my plate so that I can be a more present person in my career, with my kids, in my home, in the hobbies that I want to do? By the way, I'm a person too, and I have things that I like to do. And how do I start to reclaim my time, my energy, and ultimately build wealth? Because not only are you providing a job and growing the economy by doing that, but you are also opening yourself up to more opportunity in ways to spend your time and energy. And
Yeah, I think that's the part of the value is like, yes, there's time that you could be doing those things, but the true value, in my opinion, or how I would look at it, is like the mental clarity, the maternal burden, the mental bandwidth, like the
Mhm.
sigh of relief that I feel thinking about that alone is captivating for me.
Yes, because, and yeah, I mean, you totally hit it. Like, let me tell you, a week after my house manager started, and we can talk about, she started at 10 or 12 hours a week. So it was really, really small upfront investment for my family. And we were like, let's try this for 30 days and see like if this moves the needle for us. It turns out it was so life changing. But I was no longer thinking about the grocery list running through my head when I was on a work call or when I was reading books with my kids. I was no longer thinking about like all of the things that needed to get done. And instead, I could just be present. And like that mental load, that relief was, again, I mean, so life changing to me. Like it literally changed me as a human being.
I'm like tearing up right now. Whenever you mentioned like thinking about the grocery list, reading to your kids in bed, like the thing you're thinking about while you're on a call, like those small moments where it like zaps a little bit of joy and presence, you can't put a price on that.
No, you can't. And that's why, like clients who, and to your point, like, how is this accessible to me? Like for the people listening, they're like, wait, this sounds like it could be accessible to her, but maybe not me. You're
Yeah.
wrong. 5 hours a week. Start with 5 hours a week. 5 hours a week gets you so much time and energy back. It could get 10 hours. I mean, if you want to get crazy, start with 10. You get all your laundry done with 10 hours a week. You get all your grocery shopping done. You get meal prep. You get your dog walked. Like I mean, think about what you would do with over an extra hour in your day.
Hmm.
Would you finally exercise? Would you finally, like what would you do with that time? And different people answer that in different ways.
And that's where I was like, and this is so like hyper personal and customized. Like the 5 hours can be spent doing literally anything specific to someone's life. And I can see so clearly the transformation that you provide people. It is going from X to Y in like even just 5 hours a week. I cannot even fathom, even in those small, minute details, how that could relieve the burden from what I assume many of them are women, but certainly how that impacts the broader ecosystem in the family sense. And so can you talk about like from a budgeting perspective what this
Mhm.
typically is required of and obviously there are levels and layers and
Sure.
packages, I'm sure, but like what does this typically look like for a family?
Yes. So I'll answer that in a couple of ways. One is, and unfortunately, the answer is it depends, right? It
Sure.
depends a lot on where you live. So when you think about budget, okay, how can I fit this into my budget? This is one of the things that I help my clients sort of back into when we get
Mm-hmm.
on a kickoff call, when they just say, hey, Kelly, I really want you to help me find this person. And we get on a kickoff call, and this is one of the first things that we discuss, but it totally depends on where you live. It depends on how much of an investment you can make in this. I'll give you sort of a high level range. I have seen clients anywhere from $20 an hour to $35 or $40 an hour based on the geographic location of where they live and the cost of living, right? And it's the same with a nanny. Like honestly, the way that I typically start to think about and recommend ranges for this role when I'm looking for clients is what does an average nanny make in this area? Because it's a very similar type role in sort of like a service from a caregiving services perspective. And what I do is help people find that. So I run a recruiting service, basically like you can work with me to find this person. I charge a flat rate because for me, it doesn't matter if you end up using this person 5 or 10 hours a week or 25 or 30 hours a week, right? But I urge people to sort of think backwards from let's do a quick audit of all of the things I'm spending my time on today. By the way, I have like a free quiz on my website where you can take this quiz. It's 8 questions, and the answer gives you here's how many hours you're spending managing your household. Here's a dashboard of the time you're spending, and here's the recommendation on how you could reclaim your time. Okay, cool. So yeah, so start there. It's like a time audit, right? Don't recreate the wheel. Don't open up a new spreadsheet. I've done the work for you. I've gotten you really far. Think to yourself, okay, now, and then it'll also populate this big task list of all of the things that you're probably doing managing your household. Go and pick like the top 5 things. Like, okay, if I could take 5 things off of my plate, what would those 5 things be? Okay, number one is always laundry, right? So
I
it's
don't know,
like, okay,
groceries might be it for me.
yeah, and that's another thing is like we're spending money on grocery delivery right now. So
Yeah.
like there are things we are already doing that we're outsourcing, and it's like, could we spend a little bit more and like also have someone in our home putting those groceries away when they arrive? Anyway, I digress. So you pick up your top 5 things of like what I would like to get off my plate. And like, what would your partner also like to get off their plate? Like, hello, this is like the comprehensive list. Get with your partner, show them this list. Say, hey, here's all the stuff I'm doing managing our household. Is there anything you would add? And then say, okay, if we want to take these 5 things off of our plate, that's like 11 or 12 hours a week. Okay, how can we think about our budget? Or, okay, we've got $200 a week to spend, $300 a week that we could actually put aside for this support for this season of life. Not too dissimilar from the childcare money we spend on childcare before our kids go to like a free public school, right? It's like, how do we invest in our family right now? And setting aside that and then saying, okay, like what could we do with this budget? And so that's one of the things I help my clients with on like a kickoff call. It's like, let's figure out how many hours a week does this get us? What are the things you want off of your plate? And then how do we like find someone within an hourly rate who can help you to accomplish all of that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and again, I go back to that transformation. I can see so clearly where they are, where they're going, and where they hope to be, kind of thing, and how life changing that must be. And I think it helps having specificity. I'm thinking as someone in my shoes, like how I could help those people. But I'm curious if you're willing to answer this. Is there one of the craziest things you've seen someone outsource that you're just like, huh, didn't think about that, but it really helped them?
Oh my gosh. I mean, again, nothing is like off the table when
Yeah,
it's someone in your home. It's like, what would you do? Like
yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you an example from my own life. My house manager, who is an angel, amazing. The other day, we just moved into a new house in December and it's mud season here in the Pacific Northwest. And our garage was just like filled with literally like mud, caked with dried mud, like everywhere. And we were in the process of setting up like a new home gym in our new space. And I was like, man, I've been putting this off. Like I was sort of waiting for a warmer day. I don't know, but like I gotta power wash the garage. And she's like, oh, I'd love to power wash the garage. I'm like, I love you. I love you so much
Yeah.
because I need this to get done. And I don't have 90 minutes to power wash the garage, but like this needs to get done. So anyway, there's one thing. That's something my house manager does for me. And then, I have clients who their house managers sort of like a lot of times they will do like household duties. They'll come around noon. They'll do like 2 or 2.5 hours of household duties, throw in laundry, unload dishwashers, take out the trash and recycled, and then pick up kids from school or pick up kids from the bus stop. And then they're around sort of like manage. So like helping kid unload backpack, get started on homework. And they're sort of like just they're around and supervising, but they're also able to like fold laundry and like do other. So it's like this role that's sort of a hybrid, like house manager, part-time nanny. A lot of clients I work with have pets, like, and my dog has like, now that we've got kids, like my dog doesn't even get a walk in. Like it would be so great for the dog to get a walk again. Yeah. So like there's that. And then some of the clients that I work with like have a vacation home or like they rent out a property and like they need help managing that property. So it's like, orders, paper towels, toilet paper, soap, like making sure that that property has like things. And so they've built out systems for like their own home, their rental property. Like, how can someone help them manage these households? So anything under the sun.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. The other night, in my household, we're a 50-50 family. I cook, he cleans. Like we very much share the load. And, after we've had dinner and we sit down as a family and have dinner. And then, of course, there are dishes in the sink that have to be washed before bedtime because we don't want to go to bed with a dirty kitchen. My husband looked at me. He's like, man, wouldn't it be nice if we had someone to just do our dishes? But he said it as in like, that doesn't exist kind of thing. And I thought of you and I was like, hang on, I might have a solution in a little bit. But
Yeah.
what you articulated a second ago and what I really, really love about what you're doing for people is you're simplifying and creating repeatable systems. And can you talk about that a little bit, either in how you support families or what people in our position might be able to do in order to create repeatable systems and then simplify their schedule, their day, their load, if you will?
Yes. And I love talking about systems. So let's do it. So step one, right, I think is finding the right person. Okay. And that is what I help families do, either have guidance around how to do it yourself. Here's the playbook for going and finding a house manager or family assistant for your family. I have my recruiting service that is kind of a done for you concierge service where I will find your modern Mary Poppins for you. Both of those. And so that once you have the support, right, we find you support, you find yourself support. Or you might be the kind of person who's like, yeah, I already have support. Like my mother-in-law helps me, my mom helps, or like I have a nanny. But what we're missing is, how do I make this person efficient and successful in the role? So when you're thinking about onboarding someone into your home and integrating them think about the operating model for your home, your own operating system. Like, how do we do things in our home? And like a lot of us don't even have the time to really reflect on like, oh, how do I do things in my home? Because we're just doing it. We're just like
Yes.
we're on autopilot. We're just doing it, right?
Feverishly.
Yes, and we're just doing them. But if you, as you're integrating this person into your home, like your goal, right, is to get them aligned so that they can start doing this on autopilot for you, right? So how do we step back and say, what are the systems that we are by which we are either running our home today or how we want things to be run? And I have a specific digital course offering, and I run a cohort twice a year for people who want to do this like live and in person. about creating better systems. And what I mean by that, and like, let's break that down. Thinking about systems like feeding the family, that's a system. How are we getting food into the mouths of our family? From meal planning to grocery shopping to prepping the food to knowing when we need more of it. Like, that's a system. So like, what is our system for the family? Is our system we cook 3 nights a week and we eat out 2 nights a week? Is like, how do we want this to happen for our family? And then how do we start to take those things off of our plate? So like, could we perhaps have a recipe box of the 8 go-to meals that our family likes, so that we say to our household manager, hey, can you put together the meal plan and grab groceries for this week? We want to make these 2 items on our recipe box.
Specificity, simple.
And it's living and breathing within a home systems playbook that I have. And those who take my digital course get access to this like actual software template of a home systems playbook. And that's just one system. So then we think about systems like laundry. What's our system for laundry? How do we make sure that like sheets and towels get washed in our house, right? What is our system for making sure our home is clean? What are the things that need to happen daily, weekly, monthly, seasonally in our home? Like putting up holiday decorations, taking down holiday decorations, seasonal organizing, decluttering. Like, how do we want our home to be run? Let's be the CEO of our home. Let's treat our home like a business, create the systems that we need. And I help people do this, like put this together. I give them the templates and the framework so they don't have to start from scratch. And then once you've got that, then you can start handing it off. Then there's a place that your house manager comes where you guys collaborate in a single tool to check things off the list, making sure that your cutting boards are getting oiled monthly, making sure that air filters get changed in your home every quarter, you
So
know?
good.
Yeah.
So good. And some of this comes down to like what I assume is mindset and like process, or just kind of those own people's own internal battles or misconceptions. So I'm curious, what do you think most people misunderstand about outsourcing household chores or obligations?
Well, I think that's so I would even broaden that topic into misconceptions, or really it's barriers. Like, what is preventing me? Why haven't I taken this step? Like, when I say this, people are like, oh, this makes so much sense. Like, this feels so pragmatic. Like, why am I not doing this? But the misconception and the barriers go hand in hand, which is like, up until now, our society and culture has told us that we can have it all and we can do it and we can do hard things and we can do this. And like, this is just the way it is. And I'm here to say this is absolutely not the way it is. We are conditioned because we've watched generation after generation. We've watched our moms do it all. And what we've also seen is that they are unfulfilled. They are resentful. They are mentally and physically burnt out. And we are finally now at the place of saying, I don't want to be a super mom anymore. I don't want to do it all. And so I think like, if we can get past this barrier of the mom guilt, of the societal expectation. So that's the mindset work that needs to happen before we can even really take the step of like opening the door and letting someone into our home to help us. But it's like being okay with asking for help. And I know that that's really hard. Like, I understand. I mean, I have worked with clients where it's like, but what would someone think of me? There's still a stigma around it. And I would like to say, like, are we at the point now where our grandparents were in like the 50s and 60s and they were saying like, can you believe Martha next door got a house cleaner? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, can you believe she isn't cleaning her own house? Like, isn't that funny today? Like, it's funny, right? Because today it's societally normalized to have a house cleaner. Yeah, we've got a house cleaner comes every couple of weeks to clean our house. That's fine. It's also normalized to like have someone change your oil. Like, in the 50s and 60s, like, no, if you want to be a man, you got to change your own oil. Come on. That's where I want us to be in like 10, 15, 20 years. Like, yes, like we're just at the beginning of this movement, but people are finally saying like, I don't have to do it all. I don't want to do it all. I need help and I'm okay asking for help. And by the way, and this is so deeply resonant to me. Like, I want my kids to know that I asked for help and that I didn't take this on by myself. And that even though mom and dad were highly executive functioning, capable people, there just weren't enough hours in the day to get it all done, to live this super full life.
And then prioritize spending more meaningful moments with their family or doing things that fill them up with joy rather than washing the baseboards.
Exactly.
Uh, that resonates with me so much as well, because there is this notion that having it all equals doing it all, and I that's exactly the opposite of what that means. It is bringing people in, asking for help, outsourcing, and maybe not confidently so, but kind of in a way that is vulnerable enough to say, like, this is really hard. There may be some opinions, but this is fulfilling to me. This is going to better support my family. And oh, by the way, I don't like doing laundry. I'll wash it, I'll fold it, I'll dry it, I'll fold it, but God bless, don't make me put it away. Don't make me put it
Yes,
away.
I know. Well, and it's not just, I think, like, good point. It's not just the low joy tasks. It can be like in the season of life you're in, it can even be like, I know a lot of clients I'm with are like, oh, it's so hard for me to give up cooking because I love cooking. It's hard for me to, like, for me, like, I love plants. As you can see, I've like a lot of plants in my home.
Beautiful.
And I just recently, and this is me, I just recently finally gave up the task of managing and taking care of my houseplants because even though I love that, I love taking care of my plants, I don't have the capacity for it right now. And it was actually stressing me out. And like right when those scales tip to where it's like something you have to do instead of something you enjoy doing, it's okay because, in 5 years, I might take that task back and be like, you know
Yeah.
what, I like this again. And I have the time and space for this again. And I enjoy cooking when there aren't screaming toddlers around my feet,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I have monster children who just want to eat then, like that's not an enjoyable cooking experience for me. And that's okay to be like, I'll cook on weekends, but during the week, I got it. I need help.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you're highlighting so clearly is the seasons of life dictate or can inform what you outsource, how you reshape your day or your obligations. And so I'm curious, now that you have built out Sage House and everything that you're doing, has it impacted the way that you show up in your family or how you outsource things? How has having this business transformed your personal life?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's like, it's a little bit the other way because I feel like this entire transformation that I made personally for my family actually informed like me growing this business. But that being said, it's really important, especially as we grow businesses that are deeply personal. It's really important to like practice what we preach. So for me, like, even though I am so excited and I want to make as big of an impact as possible and like help as many families as I can, I'm holding my boundaries around one of the reasons I started Sage House was because this gives me back my own agency to do and run a business and a life that I want. So, yesterday you and I were messaging and I was on my way to a 9 a.m. Monday yoga class because after my weekend with my kids, I need to reset my nervous system. And that is a non-negotiable. I go to my 9 a.m. yoga class on Monday mornings. And yes, I am the CEO and founder of this business. I have multiple people reporting to me, but they know that that is a boundary that I hold. When my son gets off the bus at 3 p.m., I'm there at the corner to pick him up. It is seldom that I am not there. And that's what I want. I want to hold my boundaries. I want to be present with my family. And this business has allowed me to both have a great impact, but also protect my mental, physical, emotional health and be there for my family and like really live this full life that I want to live. And I'm deeply grateful that I'm able to do this. And honestly, a little bit of disbelief that like I'm even here, right? I think it's really cool. I feel really grateful.
It's a long road to get here and certainly not an easy one, but that is exactly what spurred me into entrepreneurship as well, as having the authority and agency and the ability to chart my own path, to make my own schedule, to say I'm going to watch the school play at 11 a.m. on a Wednesday and not have to answer to a single soul other than, I don't know, an out of office email that I'm going to set up. But that is exactly the life and or at least the value and the nature of the life that so many of us want to build, and doing it while being ambitious and aspirational and pursuing your dreams and being passionate and making a difference in your business while nurturing your family, growing your family, being fulfilled as not only a mom and a spouse, but as a person. And I think that is the tool and the resource that you're providing in such a unique little package. And I'm curious, I ask every guest on this podcast, for the mom who either wants to be in your shoes or wants to be in the shoes of your clients or is thinking about how motherhood is going to impact her career, her business. Do you have any advice for that individual who might be listening?
Yes, my advice is figure out what you need help with and go after it and find it. And I would love to help you. But really, it's like, don't wait, because the investment that you can make in yourself and your family is transformational. And like, again, there's a cost, there's an opportunity cost of not getting the support that you need. It's figure out what you need support with and go and find it.
Heard. Absolutely. Copy that. Kelly, you've been such a gift to have on this podcast. Where can our listeners or whoever's watching find you outside of this episode?
Yeah, so I hang out mostly on Instagram at my Sage Haus. House is spelled Haus. I'm also on LinkedIn under Kelly Hubbell and also Sage House. But yeah, I mean, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to connect with you. I host weekly informational calls every Tuesday at 11:30 Pacific time for people interested in recruiting services from Sage House. Me finding you your modern Mary Poppins. Happy to help. And I also have, like I mentioned before, sort of do-it-yourself guidance around that. You can find all that information on my Instagram. And then the home systems piece. So if you're specifically interested in the home systems, how do I set this up for my family? I've got a digital course and platform to help you go and do that too. And all of that information you can find on my website. But really, my goal is to really help other busy moms find the relief. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like you need a solution, reach out. I want to help.
You'll be hearing from me in some form or fashion, that's for sure. And I have a feeling many, many others. I am honestly just really, really grateful for the gifts that you're sharing, the passion you have for this, and the solutions that you are providing people who may or may not be aware of them yet, but certainly whenever they come to the realization that this is accessible to them, it is an option and it will transform their day-to-day life and certainly long term, that I hope that they find that within you. So Kelly, thank you again. I'm so excited to watch your business grow and really look forward to staying in touch with you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And I applaud you for having these conversations, because I really think it's making a huge impact on everyone. And so thanks for having me here. Thanks for having these chats. And I look forward to staying in touch with you.
Thanks, Kelly. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.